Warriors Blazers at the end of the half. You might not have noticed this. Andre Iguodala tosses the ball into the stands. He's ejected for a hostile act.
As we were going to the break, you saw him throw the ball at the rim. You've seen this 100 times. This is just somebody throwing the ball towards the rim. I'd like to see where it landed. I don't know what led to it. Maybe Andre had been complaining to officials and that was part of it, but that's an odd ejection.
Yeah, when we look at it again, though, Griffin, to your point, a shot, right? Looks like it's going towards the basket. That's way above and beyond.
Right. Yep.
I think it's the intent, right, Brendan? That seems like anger, and had it gone left, it's obvious, right? Like, oh, he's just throwing that ball into the stands. I think that's what the referee saw there.
I've never seen anybody thrown out for this before because it looks like he's just throwing a wild shot at the end of the half, but it does go into the stands. I guess that's how they're seeing it, but I didn't think this was something where Iguodala should have been thrown out. But maybe if I was at the game or if I could hear how things have been going between him and the officials, I might feel differently. But right now, from where I'm sitting, I don't think he should have been thrown out.
Now, it should be noted Draymond Green got a technical foul just a few minutes before that. But that's the situation in which the referees may be trying to get a little bit of control of the game. Let's see. We're trying to get a look at the clock and see how much time is there.
So the clock had already started running. The halftime clock had already started running.
Okay.
The thing for me that really stands out about this, and you said this if I was there, there's so many things that go into making a decision like this in terms of the feel of the game, and the referees have their finger on the pulse of this game. You mentioned Draymond's tech and the Nurkic tech. Andre very possibly complaining to officials before that. I think they did this in large part because they felt like this was getting a little too heated and they didn't want it to get away from them. So again, they're there, they have their finger on the pulse, and we have to assume that it was the right decision.
You have to go with Griff. I agree with you 110%.
Well, one thing we've also seen in the first half is Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant all finding their shots. Warriors have an 8-point lead. So Andre Iguodala out for the second half. Draymond Green, 3 fouls. Kevon Looney also 3 fouls. Should be an interesting second half. That dangerous Warriors trio, 14 points for Kevin Durant, Steph Curry also with 14, Klay Thompson with 17, and the Warriors have that 8-point lead at the break. Chris Miles here with David Griffin and Brendan Haywood. Welcome to the American Express Halftime Report. But we have to start with the John Wall news. Washington Wizards, they got a much-needed win on Saturday night against the Charlotte Hornets. We'll have to talk about that a little bit later. They suffered a bigger loss before the game. John Wall out the rest of the season, having surgery on his left heel, and he's out 6 to 8 months because of that. Here is Scott Brooks on missing his star point guard.
We're going to need everybody. John is, without me saying it, you guys know it, he's an elite talent. Scorer, playmaker, we don't have them. So we need everybody to step up and step into a role that they're going to enjoy because they're going to play more minutes and they're going to get opportunities.
So when it's said and done, here's the injuries for John Wall the past couple of seasons. He missed 41 games last year. Going to likely miss, or officially will miss, 50 games this year. So what now for the Washington Wizards, who started the day 10 games below 500? Here's Candace Buckner of the Washington Post.
The hole is very deep. So if they do make that push, as you say, that would be very interesting. But they are locked to John Wall, and John Wall is locked to them, especially considering next year when that Supermax contract comes back. So no matter what happens this year, playoffs or not, John Wall will be back, and he'll be here for the long term into his 30s. So something will have to be figured out between now and then.
No John Wall tonight. 35 assists for the Washington Wizards in a win over the Charlotte Hornets. What's your expectations for this team now in the Eastern Conference, where you don't have to have a great record to make the playoffs?
I expect this team to make a little bit of a run. I think Bradley Beal is good enough that he can help this team get going. I think this team has had success last season when they had Satoransky. It's a little bit different dynamic because some guys are hurt. Otto Porter's hurt. Obviously, Kelly Oubre is not there. But I think this team is going to band together, and I can see them making a push. And you don't have to be but so good to be the 7th or the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. And Washington has enough talent, especially when guys start getting healthy. When we talk about the Morris twin, when we talk about Otto Porter, maybe possibly Dwight Howard at some point, they can make some noise.
When you mentioned some of those names, let's go down a list of players that are not on this team that you thought were going to be contributing at the start of the season or not playing. John Wall, right, out. Austin Rivers traded. Kelly Oubre traded. Otto Porter missed the last 10 games, should be back soon. Dwight Howard, Markieff Morris. These are all starters or people you thought would be sixth men on this team. So for the Wizards, this is going to be a completely different team for the rest of this season than we thought we were going to see to start the year.
Well, at least until Otto Porter and Markieff Morris come back, I think it could get worse before it gets better. They got a big win today. Charlotte giving away 21 points off their own turnovers. A huge night from Trevor Ariza with 24 and 9 assists. But I think you could see it get worse before it gets better in Washington because they don't have Otto Porter. It's a huge piece for them. When John was out last year, they had a stretch where they went 15 and 12 in his absence. And Otto Porter was more ball dominant. He got to handle in the pick and roll and make decisions. He's a better shooter in some circumstances when he gets the feel for the ball a little bit more. So in a weird sort of way, I think this could be a great opportunity for this organization. You're looking at a group that could be spiritually reborn to some degree because they're going to be giving other players, as Scott Brooks mentioned, opportunity. On the flip side, if you make Otto Porter look more worth the contract he's currently earning, you're also going to make John Wall look less like the contract that he is on, and that's potentially an albatross for many years if he's not able to get right physically.
Well, the thing is, we're going to find out fairly early. They have some easier games coming up because they have Atlanta and then they have Miami. But then I'm looking at the schedule, OKC, the 76ers twice, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Toronto Raptors. So we're going to find out.
Know.
Yeah, we're going to find out, are they going to be able to hang in there and make a push, or is this team going to get absolutely steamrolled? So we'll find out within the next 7 games.
Certainly guys like Troy Brown, Thomas Bryant, Sam Decker getting opportunities, making the most of it. And James Harden having to take the rock in his hands more. And 40-something, we're not talking about his age. That's 25 games, including 5 20-point losses. Warriors have their core 4 back, Brendan. We know that. But Draymond Green averaging 7 points, shooting 22% from three-point range. Why is his offensive regression so pronounced right now?
Well, I think some of that is Draymond got off to a very slow start, but there's some things that he can do differently. See right here? Look how Portland is guarding him. Nurkic is in the middle of the lane, daring Draymond to shoot. Look, he is turning his back while Draymond is shooting. That makes Golden State be forced to play 4-on-5. Once again, look where Nurkic is. It's like having another defender. He is staying in the lane, cluttering it up. The whole time he is making sure that lane looks cluttered, and Draymond is helping Nurkic out. He's hanging on the perimeter, taking the shots that the defense wants you to take. But what Draymond has to do is do something different. Right here, I love it. Catches it in the mid-post. Dribble handoff to Kevin Durant. Nice little screen. Use the fact that Collins is playing so far off of him as a weapon to get Durant open. Now look at Draymond. He understands they're playing back. I'm not going to launch this 3. That's exactly what they want me to do. I'm not shooting the ball right now. Play to your strength. Drive the ball to the basket. Get aggressive. When you watch those clips, the first couple of clips, Draymond is trying to prove, I'm a shooter, I'm a shooter. He's never been a shooter. He's a ball player. He's a gamer. When you watch those last 2 clips, he's being effective even though he's not shooting the ball well. Draymond is letting the offense dictate too much of who he is and how he affects and how he helps this ball club. Draymond's offense is a luxury, and he has to understand that, there's going to be a lot of noise out there, people on Twitter, people on sports talk shows talking trash because Draymond is brash, and a lot of people love seeing him not hitting his shots right now. He has to block all that out and go out there and do the things that can help this team win. And when you're a guy that's a non-shooter, like I was, Griff. I'm laughing, but I can tell you as a non-shooter, there's ways that you can get guys open and you can help your team without shooting the basketball. If you catch the ball at the three-point line and take 2 dribbles in close to the free throw line and do a dribble handoff, you now essentially create a layup for somebody like Kevin Durant. Or if you're Draymond Green and you realize Nurkic is way over there in the paint, just run and set a pin down for Klay, because guess what? Klay will come off. He'll be wide open. Nurkic will have to respond, and either Klay's going to get a wide open shot, or when you roll to the basket, you'll be able to get a dunk. I got a lot of open shots in my career setting screens for guys like Dirk Nowitzki, setting screens for Gilbert Arenas, Jason Terry, because if you set a flare screen off the ball and the defense has to respond to it and then you slip to the basket, you create a problem. But if I stayed out 15, 16, 17 feet where defenses knew I couldn't shoot, or if Draymond stays out there behind the three-point line shooting 22% and trying to prove to these teams that he's a shooter, he's not helping the Golden State Warriors. Draymond has to understand that.
Well, and it's a chicken or the egg situation, too, because while Draymond is struggling and defenses are sagging off of him, it's giving them more opportunity to help on anything that they may run for Klay Thompson. And Klay is struggling mightily himself. He's shooting 30% from 3 over the last 5 games and not getting shots either. When you're getting 10 to 15 threes a game, that's one thing. When you're 1 of 5 over 5 games, that's a problem for Klay Thompson. And that's margin for error for the Warriors. And it was fine when Draymond wasn't scoring, when you had Klay, Steph, and KD going crazy. But in the absence of Damian Jones, who was creating that dive effect, that vertical spacing that made everybody react to the roller, everything's a little more difficult now, and you can see how important that was. I think the absence of Damian Jones has set some of this in motion, and it really does highlight how important JaVale McGee was for that group last year as well.
I guess when you're the Warriors and so many things not clicking at the right time, we have to discuss them more. But coming up a little bit later, we'll talk about the Blazers, because things are going very well for them right now, 5-2 in their last 7 games. Got some love from Katie. Look at this. She's just cleaning up. Steph hooking her up.
Who is that little girl? She got to know somebody, man. That's just not a random fan.
That's one of the only Warrior fans in Portland right now, apparently. She's getting all of the attention because she's sort of solo.
That's a good look for her. I think that's the key. If you're a fan, go on the road, right? Support the team that's coming in, and maybe you'll get the hookup. Here's the projected starting lineups for this one. Kevon Looney getting a nod at center. Yusuf Nurkic, I think that's a matchup to watch. Where else do you see Griffin?
Yeah, I think for me personally, when I look at this, I think KD Mo Harkless is going to be a really big matchup. You'll see Aminu take shots on KD as well, but Mo's going to have to do his best to limit KD, because Klay and Draymond, as we've talked about, they're struggling.
I want to see these 2 guards go at it. I want to see C.J. McCollum versus Klay Thompson. I want to see what goes on there, how that dynamic goes. How's Klay doing defensively? Does Klay find his shot? And you know, CJ, he gets into his package. He can make you look really bad. So I want to see what's going to go down with that.
For the Warriors, coming back after that overtime loss on Thursday night, as we look at the warm-ups, we look at them coming to the arena, they seem dialed in. Not that they're, never not dialed in, but they seem like they're ready for this one, and they're ready to go.
Well, when Steve Kerr was talking about the fact that they're the most scrutinized team in the history of the league in his mind, what he's telling you is it's become heavy to wear the crown in Golden State. Mm-hmm. They are weighing down under the pressure of excellence being the expectation every night, and spiritually they are not in a terribly good place. So what you do when that happens is you either continue to let it snowball, or you decide to take matters into your own hands and rise up and play a game where you bring all of the energy and effort and let the cards fall where they may. And I think that may be where Golden State is tonight.
Definitely this team is scrutinized, a lot of pressure, and it's because things slowly start to happen and change differently in our culture. The more and more you start to win, the more haters and the more scrutiny you get. See, at first it was, man, Golden State, and it was a very cute story. And then they started winning more, and then they added Kevin Durant, and a lot of people thought that wasn't fair. And now everybody wants to see this team lose. They went from being the darlings to now being the big bad guys, the villains. And with that comes that scrutiny, because now people are throwing shots at KD and Draymond and Klay. And the team right now doesn't look like they have responded. You're seeing KD make some comments. I don't think they're the worst comments in the world, but it seems like, hey, he's tired of people saying certain things. Klay's tired of people questioning his shot. Draymond's trying to figure it all out himself, too. So this team right now is going in a bunch of different directions. But guess what? They're still going to be there at the end of the year. All the haters can keep hating. They still gonna win it.
And Damian Lillard hit some big shots in that overtime win on Thursday night. But how about the Community Assist Award? Getting that before the game. And of course, Portland Trailblazers getting the community into this one before they face the Warriors.
I'm just glad my man Neil O'Shea's